Today we're talking about event breakers. What are they? What do they do? Do they do things? Let's find out. My team has told me that we've got events coming through that look busted. They're kind of clumped together. We're not breaking them properly. So let's take a look to see with Cribl's capture feature to see what we're getting. This looks all right, but if I hit show more, yeah, we've got multiple events kind of clumped into one event. So I'm going to copy this so we have a sample to work with. Copy that data. Let's hop over to processing, to knowledge, and then event breaker rules. We collect rules into what we call rule sets. You can apply rule sets to the sources. An event would come in and using that filter condition be compared against the rules within the rule set in order. So I can reorder these if I need to. The first filter condition that matches will be the rule that breaks the event. By default, we include some for different source types. Like this has various types of AWS data in it. We've got other included rule sets, Palo Alto and Cisco, for example. In my case, I've come up with a custom rule set that I created using new rule set up here. Let's click into the custom rule set. And the first one pertains to our troublesome events. I'm going to paste the data in here so you can see what we're doing. I've given it a name. I've given it a filter condition. I'm looking for spaces, some number of spaces at the front of the data, followed by the word info. I've defined the event breaker as timestamp. And then what that means is Cribl is going to look for a timestamp following an event breaker. I've defined the timestamp anchor as a square bracket, and I've said, look, 30 characters past that. So we're going to scan into the event. If we see a square bracket followed by a valid timestamp, Cribl is going to assume that that is an event and it's going to snap it off. And we can check to see in the out tab what it looks like. Instead of being clumped together with one event, now we've got two separate events. We're extracting the time properly. We can verify that here. Everything looks good. We fixed that scenario. Let's check some of these other types of event breakers as well while we're here. I've got a zscaler there. You can see the match is looking for a particular string within the zscaler log. I'm going to pull up some sample data here so you can see what it looks like. And this is some interesting features to it. First of all, we're using a regex to break this time. So we're looking for any new line followed by something that's not a space. Key when this is a look around match. So it's not part of the actual match. And what we're saying is the actual match is character return line feed followed by not a space. And you can have a positive look ahead, or this is a negative look ahead. The reason I bring that up is the look-arounds aren't part of the match, so they will not be expunged from the event stream, whereas anything in the match will be taken out, and that's indicated by these red indicators in here that we're showing that the new lines are being dropped. Further down in the timestamp anchor, I know that the time starts with time equals, followed by a word and then a space. So this is like the prefix to the time. And then I've specified a manual format to extract the time. And I needed a manual format because the time zone is called out separately. It's sort of messy. Using that manual format, using these various settings, I can check the out tab and see that we're getting it broken just as we want it and the time is being extracted properly. The next example is a JSON array. So this is pretty handy, especially in the case of APIs that very often will return JSON data in an array format where events are contained within the array. Let me show an example here. Filter condition is looking for JSON notation that starts with an array followed by an object opening. Event breaker type, we've selected JSON array. So it's going to find an array in that data and then split it out. And you can see we have looked for the timestamp anchor as event creation time, and then we can just auto timestamp it after that because it'll recognize this as epoch, in this case milliseconds since epoch. And then what I've done below is you can actually add fields to the event. This is like a mini pipeline almost. So I've added a parsed field, and I'm going to parse that raw text that is the result of this extraction. And what I get is, you can see the raw is here, and you can look at it in plain text format or in tree view. But I've also added now a parsed field that has that data properly parsed as JSON. So this will allow me to construct routing filters and pipeline rule sets and things like that more easily because I can refer to parse.event.computername, for example. I won't need to use regex any longer. My only caution is that be sure you clean up this event before the destination, right? So we've got duplicate event data in here now, and you want to pick one or the other. Either stay with the raw or use the parse data, rebuild your event as needed. The next example I have is a file header. This would be like in the case of a PS command. For example, I've got this here. Select the event breaker type as file header. You need to identify which lines, it could be plural, in your data contain headers that are going to be dropped. You need to define what the field separator is, field delimiter. In this case, it's any number of spaces. And then the fields regex is very important. So this will identify which line and which string contains all of the fields. In this case, it's exactly the same as the header line, but we need to make sure it matches the entire collection of field names. Nothing else really special there, except I've designated current time because there's no timestamp associated with this. And I don't want the event breaker mistakenly picking up arbitrary fields here that are part of the data, not actual timestamp of the time the event was created. And again, I can double check. What's really nice about the file header based event breaker is it extracts all that field. Again, I've got raw if I want to refer to the raw, but I've also got individual fields broken out that I can refer to as my rule sets. The last one I'm going to show you is a variation on that. This is just CSV. So it's a well-known common format that we support. Again, you specify the CSV event breaker. You can specify any delimiters and quote characters and things like that that you need. And again, in this case, we're using current time, so we're not trying to extract these times. These are the times that the commands actually started. That's not what we want for this reading. And the out, we have raw available to us and all of the individual fields. Now that I've got a rule set created, namely our top rule that we wanted to fix this TCP input, I can come in here, go to event breakers, add rule set, find my custom rule set there, apply it. And now if I capture data, we're going to see what we want to see this time, one event per event, essentially. So we're no longer clumping the events together. I hope this helps you understand event breakers a little better, and we'll see you next time.